Welcome, one and all, to the world's finest show, Halloween Special. I am your friendly neighborhood Kyle Hudson.
And I'm Ray Gordon. I'm sorry, I wish I could be more ghostly and ghastly. Ooh.
But
Ray
yes,
Gordon.
we come to you on this All Hallows Eve. If you've been following the show for a long time, that Halloween is one of our favorite holidays. And
Yes.
this year, we decided, since we can control whenever we want to broadcast, we're coming back and we're doing it on Halloween. So, how are you, Ray? I feel like I haven't talked to you in like forever.
Right? It's been a wild one, but the spooky season's just over the corner. It's daylight savings weekend. I'm gonna get an hour of sleep. It's gonna be great. I mean, an hour more of spooky fun.
I think tonight. It's tonight, right? Like it's Halloween.
Saturday. So I think it's Saturday night to Sunday morning.
This is gonna be broadcasting tonight on Saturday.
Oh, so yeah, it will be tonight. Ain't that so funny? So yeah, what's happening tonight? Because I don't know what day Halloween is apparently, even though it's tomorrow or today or today. I'm just
Anyway.
back. It's been a long, but I've been okay. It's been a wild one. Just getting ready for the adventures of Sumbul, the return of Sumbul, the revenge of Sumbul. It's gonna be great.
So you're actually going out doing Halloween festivities?
Oh no, I'm not going out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna dress up nice, and then I'm going to put on this big fanfare promenade, and then I'm going to put it all away.
Right? It's like, thank God for social media. I'd rarely say that, but like this year, I think social media will save Halloween, right? We can all at least kind of get dressed up and take a picture and be like, yay, it's kind of normal. You know what I mean?
What kind of Halloween traditions do you think like we have? I know that the normal go to people's houses and get candy is pretty much out the window, but aren't there other Halloween traditions that you have? Like I have a few.
Oh, well, I mean, I always watch a scary movie on Halloween. That's something that's not going to change. This year, I'm going to watch Attack the Block. I don't know if you've seen that with John Boyega. It's like a bunch of aliens attack like a housing project in London. It's a really funny, spooky, but like it's like made by the same people who make Shaun of the Dead. So it's like funny, but it's scary too. But I mean, I almost always watch Scream around this time of year too. I don't know. Most of my stuff revolve around movies because like that's my thing. You know what I mean? Like, or I usually try and like read scary stuff around now, or not scary, but like I'll go read back like Afterlife with Archie, or play Resident Evil 2. What about you?
I mean, recently something that I've gained is reading The Darkest Night. It's a series from the Green Lantern series, like an arc where the Black Rings show up. The premise is Batman's dead, a couple of people are dead, and the Green Lantern Corps is patrolling the world, keeping the universe safe, all that. And then there's these Black Rings that come up. They cause mayhem, and there's this turned guardian on Oa that changes the composition of, long story short, zombie rings. So I love it's my thing. Zombies and spiritual possession are like my go-to Halloween genres or subgenres.
It was interesting. I was having a conversation yesterday with my friend, and he was like, I can't stand it, with like Get Out and Us and like all these like woke horror movies, the Haunting of Bly Manor. And I was like, dude, there's always been like social criticism in horror movies. I mean, like if you look at The Exorcist is like dripping with social commentary. Now, they happen to usually be from a conservative point of view. Back in all the 80s movies like come from that like if you sin you die mentality, the rules that they lay out in Scream. But like I think I am not a big like gore fan, so that's why I'm not like the biggest horror fan. But like a good horror movie has like a message, right? And like way more is like deeper than an action movie. You know what I mean? For almost always. But I don't know. What are your favorite scary movies?
Like to be scared.
Well, like a lot of people, are probably looking for scary movie recommendations. I threw out Attack the Block. You know, I'll also throw out Stir of Echoes. That's another good one. It takes place in Philly too.
If you want to be scared, if you just want to be frightened, I would say pop in Silent Hill and take yourself on a trip.
The
I
movie or the
wouldn't
video
advise
game?
you. Both, either. I would advise not playing the video game on PlayStation if you are truly afraid of things. But if you just want a nice little scare, keep it creepy, but you still have the power to turn the TV off, I would suggest the Silent Hill movie. There's always The Ring, like the older one, not this new one that came out. I ain't even see it. I didn't hear good things about it. Hellraiser. Yes.
Really? You're a Hellraiser? Really? Out of all the slasher spooky franchises from the 80s, you go Hellraiser?
Because of the message. It's more along the lines of like everybody in Hellraiser, whoever gets the box, whoever opens up the spookies, they all deserve it.
Yeah, well that's what I'm talking about, the social commentary, right? Like it's you sin, you die, you're a bad person, you get your comeuppance. You know what I mean? I don't know. For me, I guess the one I watched the most of was probably Friday the 13th, because I had like a personal connection. My Boy Scout camp was where they filmed the first one. And so, yeah, Camp Crystal Lake was actually Camp Nobi Bosco in New Jersey, in Blairstown, New Jersey.
Don't tell me that. What was that camp now?
Camp Nobi Bosco. Camp Nobi Bosco. Yeah.
Camp Ray Goes Go.
Yeah, I mean, and Scream is my favorite, but they're not an 80s franchise. You know what I mean? Like Scream is more like breaking down the 80s franchises. So I'd say like Friday the 13th is one I watch the most, but my friend was getting me, he's tried forever to get me into, my friend Ted has tried to get me into Nightmare on Elm Street. And I watched the first one, with Johnny Depp, and it was okay, but it just, the slasher thing really never did it for me.
Right.
But I watched Halloween. I watched a few of those actually. I remember Halloween H2O. Yeah, back in the 2000s.
The 2000s were a funny time. It was a great
time. Dude, do you remember?
I remember when they had, what was it, Jason, and he was in space.
Oh, Jason X. I worked at Blockbuster when that came out. And 13 Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one? Ooh, you know what another good Halloween movie is? Donnie Darko.
Really? I thought it was more like a thriller.
Well, no, but it takes place on Halloween. It's a science fiction. Dude, that bunny? Why are you wearing a human suit?
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's definitely a creep.
Frank the bunny? Nah, man.
Keep it.
That's
so
like,
you're not like a Silence of the Lambs. You're not like one of
those.
No.
Like, I do like Silence of the Lambs. I like Alien, the Alien franchise. I guess with the Alien franchise was like the 80s. It was not well, and you know what? A lot of people don't think about it this way, but the first Terminator movie is pretty much a horror movie. Like it's essentially the monster. Do you know what I mean? In the form of the Terminator. Before you get all the John Connor hacking into ATMs and you know what I mean. Sarah Connor, going all crazy commando, at Cyberdyne Industries. Before all that stuff, the first Terminator movie was a straight up horror movie, if you really want to break it down.
Yeah, it was terrifying. For multiple different reasons, it was terrifying. The most important reason was because cyborgs. Yeah, that's why.
You know what though? If you're into Halloween, if you want the Halloween spirit, but you don't want to get scared, Hulu has it's a show on FX. It's called What We Do in the Shadows. I've talked about it on the show before.
Right.
It's with the vampires. It's shot like it's by Taika Waititi. I think that's how you say his name. He's the guy who made Thor Ragnarok, Jojo Rabbit, this amazing movie called Eagle vs. Shark that I saw years and years and years ago. But he made a movie called What We Do in the Shadows, which is good, but the TV show is so much better. It's about 4 vampire roommates in Staten Island who it's shot like The Office kind of. So it's yeah, it's great. It's really
Talking
really
about
good.
light. If you're talking about lighthearted, if you wanted something that you can sit around with the kids, the eternal debate. I don't know if we can get into this now or later, but the eternal debate would be A Nightmare on Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right before Christmas. Jack Skellington. Is it a Christmas movie? Is it a Halloween movie?
We were watching it the other day with Ava, my daughter. We were watching like the scene when it's like, "What's this? What's this? The summit in the air. What's this?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't remember the lyrics, but yeah, she was like,
right, like something's blended.
she didn't even get scared by the Halloween part in the beginning either.
Because it's funny.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's kidsy. I don't know about funny. It's kidsy.
Did you hear that this is the first year in like 50 or 60 years that the Great Pumpkin is not going to air on television?
So weird. What a weird year. This is a weird year.
You
But
know
then
why,
again,
though?
kids don't even remember Charlie Brown.
No, you know why? Someone bought the rights to it.
Really?
It's going to be on Apple Plus, exclusive.
Why would they do that to people?
Because Apple's making a play, man. We've talked about the streaming wars. We're gonna have an episode to get dedicated to like all the streaming services that are out now. Mandalorian just dropped. The season 2 just dropped too. I haven't seen it yet. Collect yourself, Ray. But no, Apple's making a serious play, and they actually have I haven't watched it, but they have a show by M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. I think it's called Servant. The only thing, what was that?
I've got to look into that.
Yeah, Apple Plus it's I will say, it's like how I feel about CBS. What is it
now?
I think it's going to be called Paramount Plus soon. I think they're rebranding it. CBS Direct.
Netflix don't got to change its name. I don't know why everybody else changing their names.
Well, they're all late to the game, man. But they all have their own things, and like a lot of these smaller ones, like Paramount has the CBS one, and like I think Hulu and Netflix are like they're the mainstays, right? Like they're the two main pillars. But then you have all these other ones, and like I dip in, dip out. Do you know what I mean? I dip in for a couple months, watch some content, dip out, and then replace it with another one. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no point having like, I mean, the whole reason I cut the cord was to save money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. That was the whole point.
Having 10 streaming services, but I do still have Hulu, and Hulu has What We Do in the Shadows. Oh, and there's an oldie and a goodie, X-Files, man. X-Files.
There's always X-Files. Scully.
Mulder and Scully, man. There's that show. I will watch that show forever. That's a go-to, man. That's like one of those like warm blanket TV shows that you like put on in the background. It's like, good to see you, old friend.
Have you noticed the rise in I want to say urban horror, like the urban horror genre? Like there's the new Twilight Zone, there's Lovecraft Country. It wasn't just Get Out. I think Get Out was like a start of this new-ish genre of like an urban horror. Like, but then you could always think way, way, way back, like what was that horror show way back in the 90s? It was like Snoop Dogg was like, he was like the Bone Collector or something like that. There used to be a couple horror movies back then.
Tales from the Crypt.
Tales, like there's also, but like as far as like this.
But no, that wasn't what you're talking about. That's just
But I know, but it's just there's been quite a few horror, but recently there have been much more of a multicultural horror or thrillers, and they're kind of terrifying, but they're well written. Like Lovecraft Country recently, and Janet was just pointing this out to me earlier in the week. Lovecraft Country is rather scary, but at the same time, it's mostly scary because of its ties to the occult as opposed to jump scares. Like there's a lot of scary parts.
Well, H.P. Lovecraft, right?
Yes.
Okay, so H.P. Lovecraft is the Cthulhu guy, right? And Lovecraft Country obviously is Now, here's the interesting thing about I have not seen Lovecraft Country yet. I want to. It's a tough sell on Leslie because again, she doesn't like scary things. But I think we might watch it together. But anyway, the thing about Lovecraft Country is H.P. Lovecraft was like crazy racist. like
Yeah.
he was. And so to see that, it's a show with his mythology, I just think that that's a very I'm interested in seeing how it goes because I've heard it got really good reviews, and that it is really really spooky. And
It's spooky.
and the occult stuff, the H.P. Lovecraft occult stuff, has always been like one of those. I think it's like gotten to the point where it's become so just generic, right? Like because it's I mean this stuff is like over 100 years old, so like it's just permeated our culture that like you just recognize it as just being occult stuff. You don't realize that this all comes from this one guy, H.P. Lovecraft. But yeah, it's I don't know.
It's an
It's on my
interesting
list.
series.
It's I do have HBO Max. That is one of the ones that I do subscribe to, and it is one that it's been on my list, for a while. But if it's getting the Ray Gordon thumbs up, maybe I'll pop it in tonight for Halloween.
It's gotten the thumbs up, but not in a way that I'd expect because I'm not really a horror genre person, as you know. But I do like a good story, and there's just a lot of good stories now. And I'll give this to 2020. The story that it is writing is just fantastic. Like in the most morbidly or like a morbid appreciation sort of way. Like 2020 is a year of its own. It has stood out. And so
I will say it is kind of weird talking about like spooky, scary stuff when like something that is objectively scary is like happening right now. But I think that's why we need it, right? I do think that that's where the value in the horror genre comes from, right? Like, because when you watch a horror movie or you read a horror story or something like that, right? It scares you, it puts you on edge, and then you get through it. And you have that like kind of catharsis at the end. You know what I mean? That release that I think could be healthy, which is why I've decided to like watch some more scary stuff than I normally would. Like what months ago, I don't know if I talked about it though. Months ago, I watched The Lighthouse. Have you heard of that one with Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe? It's two guys trapped in a lighthouse. It's black and white, and it's not like no jump scares or anything like that. It's just like psychologically like really crazy. And I just remember it's not something I normally watch. And I just remember when it was done, I was just like, huh. You know what I mean? Like it was just like there was a release that felt I was like, okay, maybe I'll give horror movies a shot again. You know what I mean?
There's a movie on Netflix. It's not horror so much as it's thriller, but it is a terrifying sort of movie. It's called The Platform.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's messed up. It's
You
wow.
watched it?
Yeah. My friend Sade put me on to this movie. She's like, "You're gonna watch this. It's going to mess you up, but it's really good." And I was like, "Well, it's October." Yeah, it messed. It was wild. Like just the concepts that it allowed for someone who's a mind person, for someone who likes to be real cerebral and delineate and break things down and ponder about. This is a movie that required much pondering. Like the premise, I'll keep it brief. The premise is that it's pretty much a cell, voluntary or involuntary. You can go in there for a reason or not, but there's floors, all these floors, and the cell is open and there's a hole in the middle. And every day a platform comes with food. And it's the only platform of food, and it has to get down to 200 floors, right? And so will the food get down there, right? That's the scary part. It's like the people at the top save some for the people at the bottom, and every month that you're there, you randomly get shifted to a different level. So one month you could be on and cell 4, and then in one month you could be in cell 64, right? And it's like, how you gonna survive the month with you and your cellmate?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's a terrifying concept. You gotta luck out and get the right cellmate. It's, just like I said, just the concepts of the movie made me draw to it. There's definitely not something that I could just keep watching over and over because I like sleep. But it's a thriller. It's a thriller.
Yeah, see, like the psychological stuff is far more intriguing to me than like the bloody horror. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, that's easy, right? You just get some special effects, but like
fake limb.
Yeah, like get in my mind. And I've worked on horror movies, right? Like actual horror movies that were released, and like I've seen the special effects and stuff like that. And like I respect the art, man, I really do. And it's just not my thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see people like slice and dice. But
that's fair.
But like, I don't know, if you can scare me, if you can get me thinking, thinking spooky thoughts, I'm down for that.
Oh yeah, I think it's the spooky thoughts that really get you, because it's not really the scary movie. Like, it's not really the Freddy and Jason. It's the whole I'm gonna get you in your dreams thing that gets people, because they're not really scared of that, but they're scared of like that powerlessness in sleep. And it's like, oh, that's the freaky thing. After The Exorcist came out, churches were filled. After Jaws came out, the beaches were clear. Like, people believe what they see.
That is very well put, Ray. That is very well put. All right, well, that brings us up to our first break. Now, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Mike Nappy from Nappy Music. He's a local musician. I actually worked with him on a project recently, and we're going to talk about all of his new music, and maybe we'll get some Halloween recommendations from him too. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the Halloween spectacular of the world's finest show. I'm your friendly neighborhood Kyle Hudson.
I'm Ray Gordon. Ooh, I'll practice that.
And we are joined with a very special ghost, Mike Nappy. How are you, Mike?
I'm good.
Thanks for getting the Halloween spirit with us. It's really great to have you on.
Pumped to be on.
So I've known Mike. Our like paths have crossed many times over the years. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think I met you for the first time like 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we recently I brought him on board onto a project, and we worked together on well, you really did the hard work. You
had the vision. That's very important.
No, but you made this song to get out the vote, and it was really cool collaborating with you. And we're actually going to play it out at the end of the episode.
Nice.
But before we get into like the fun spooky Halloween stuff like we were talking about before, I do want to talk to you about you and your music, because you are incredibly prolific. You put out so much high quality content. How do you do that? How do you constantly keep yourself on top of yourself to constantly produce new things?
Thank you for the compliment. The first thing is the love. I do love it. I think it was I became obsessed. With quality to where it almost hindered me, and in some ways it did. And I just from that I developed an insane work ethic. So now, with forcing myself to be on a content schedule that I've created, I feel really organized, and it's become easier, because I used to do daily creations, and now by being smart and preparing a little more, I'm able to crank it out even more. So it really just came from the drive to want to create stuff at a good quality level. And it's so interesting how many steps there are, whether it's audio or video. I mean, and it never ends, but to create something that is at least doesn't make you cringe. You know, I spent decades creating cringe-worthy content, dude. So it's the time for sure. You know, I started when Home Alone came out. I started recording audio on the Talkboy. You know, so like I've been doing it my whole life. This is my first studio, literally. So the love for it and the obsession for perfection. Even though I don't even know if that's a thing to recommend, but that's the truth.
Yeah, you know, they say you just got to keep on putting time into it, and eventually, you get good at it, right? No one starts good out the gate. Even the best people, even Michael Jordan had to like start somewhere, like
Right.
On the bench.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, I tried to make a sports analogy. It was probably very poor.
Oh, dude, I'm right there
At
with
least
you.
you use the right sports person, right? Just go with Jordan and then go
Right?
down from there.
Yeah, he's the best, right?
Yeah.
So the song. So I know you just came out with a new song, Bars, right? Like just came out with it. Because we worked on the Vote song a couple weeks ago, but you've already like come out with like 3 songs since then. So why don't you talk about like your newest tracks that you've put out? Maybe the stuff you put out in October, and maybe how you kind of created those, or how long does it take you to make those? Like you probably aren't just making something every week. These are things that you work on for a long time.
Yeah. The time process has gotten cut down, which is so awesome. I've noticed that this year, because just do something enough, you're going to get more efficient. So now I'm like, the Vote song was probably 2 days, 2 full days, like long days. But to me, that's short because I'm really proud of that song. In 2 days, I came up with that. So yeah, a little bit about the Vote song. I was proud of that one because in the chorus, I came up with these sentences: victories ours to elect, vocalize, oppression to effect, voicing our truths empathetically. Basically, VOTE, VOTE, VOTE.
Yeah.
So it became like so fun for me, and then it just becomes a puzzle. Once I think I probably spent 2 hours thinking of a concept, researching other voting songs. The thing that's the most time consuming is the concept or the idea for me. Once I have that prompt, so I think the idea is everything. So that is always the most time consuming thing for me. Like where is this going to go? It's a song about voting, but what's my voice on it? And I love comedy, but I'm not funny enough to make it like to promote voting in a funny way. And the only thing I'm really good at is lyrics. So I was like, let me get creative with it. And this was a fun project, dude. This was a really fun project.
I mean, when I first played it, I was like, I'm going to listen to that in my car. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
Like that. It was like, I don't know, like I think you really hit it out of the park. You had, exactly what I was trying to like project, and it was just, I hope we can collaborate on something again in the future. But I know you do a lot of stuff on your own. So I know you have the new song Bars that just came out, right?
Yep, today. Yep, yesterday, Friday. Yeah, I just I've been playing with releasing a song a week. I am confident that I can release a song a week and it won't be a bad quality. And just people have such short attention spans. This guy, self-named The Smart Rapper on YouTube, he described it as a song for the audience is like Christmas morning or the morning of your birthday. The most exciting thing is anticipating it. Once you get your presents, it's over. So releasing albums right now with my pretty much, it's a decent fan base, but it's small numerically. An album would be silly because they would listen to it and then the next day they'd be like, now what? So by doing one a week, I think I'm able to hold their attention for longer.
What do you think that, and thanks for all that great info, Mike. But as a fellow musician, I played saxophone.
Oh, me too. That's what I started on.
Hey, there we do it. There we did it. What is the process? What has the process evolved into in a specific year like this one? I know that you brought up concepts and just, formulating the lyrics and then just rolling with it. But has this year enhanced or subdued your creative muscle in any way?
What a great question. Enhanced 1,000,000%. The beginning of quarantine, I did freak out, and I, like everyone, just didn't. It was weird, but again, everyone can relate. I'm not different. It was weird, and for me, I just saw myself going to be going down a road of confusion, or I just got to start taking control of what I can take control of, and I became obsessed with exercise, which somehow I would stand by this statement. Somehow taking care of yourself ends up just bettering other irrelevant areas in your life. I guess because it makes sense. I'm happier, so I'm attracting myself to happier people. And so it has been completely enhanced because for the first time, I stopped only focusing on getting good at music. Like I started focusing on my health and I'm so glad I did. I don't regret all the time I spent on the music, but I was never taught that simple concept that sounds so simple, like take care of yourself too. I was like, no, I must practice music, only practice. And it was just starting to feel like I was running into a wall. Even though my skills were getting better, nothing was happening. So I had to take care of myself.
I understand that wholeheartedly. When I was in Westchester University, just practicing for days straight, to the point where like I didn't so much practice. I felt odd not practicing. It felt like weird when I wasn't practicing, but I had to not let that overlap on times where I should have been eating, or I should have been sleeping, or I should have been thinking or formulating. Like I devoted so much to music that I forgot to be in my passion. I was just producing things, and that sort of gave me a block, a sort of a creative block. I'm always creating, but it was always getting it out. Like the studio in my head. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's always on.
Yeah.
But it's when that production gets piecemealed into a song, something that you want to share with the universe, with the society. That's when things get a little bit more focused and a little bit more serious. And for perfectionists, that can hem us up because it feels as if we are the biggest block for all this creative genius that we have. But we know it's genius, but it's like, do they know? Will they know? Will they get it? So just feeling and experiencing that creative process during this specific year has been eye-opening for me.
Yeah. You know what else I've noticed too? And that was very wise. I agree with everything you said. Musicians and entrepreneurs have a different type of lifestyle and mindset and reality. And I've noticed, with all due respect, but that everyone's been thrown into this new world of being home. And I've noticed a lot of people are acting the way I kind of acted when I started dipping my toes into like a digital independent lifestyle. It's just interesting. It's interesting. I never thought that like music and arts and entertainment would end up, everything has just become so like related, like a trash removal service is making TikToks for their trash removal service. And, I'm making TikToks for my music. It's
well, I think that there's, and this is something I recognized early on. It's why we moved the show on to YouTube. It's because right now, for the first time in forever, it's an equal playing field, right? Like the Tonight Show is shooting on Zoom. They're shooting their interviews on Zoom, right? Like everyone has, the big productions are not able to be had, right? Like the giant studio albums where 10 guys in a studio, you just can't do that right now. It's got to be one guy at home. And so I think that is why you're seeing this explosion of creativity across the board. It's because for once we can compete, right? A guy like you is working with the same exact tools as Timberland,
Trevor Noah.
right?
Yeah.
Or Trevor Noah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and I think, but I mean, I have to ask, of course, you missed the live performances, right? Like, I mean, you have to.
Of course. And you've seen me perform. I definitely give it my all. Yeah, but I can't deny my dream since I was a kid too. It was so specific. It was to make music in the downstairs of wherever I lived, and that's just so weird that like now we're even interviewing. If there wasn't Corona, maybe we'd be hanging out in person right now, which would be awesome because now I know both of you. I like you both, you know. But Kyle, I know you. I would have. In person's always awesomer. But it's crazy that so much is getting done at home, and I'm excited about it. And the fact that I can't perform live, I'm okay with it because I have everything I love right here. And the fact that I'm being told to stay here and work on it, I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it.
So you know, it is Halloween. So we were talking before the break about, you know, our about scary movies and, you know, stuff for the season. Are you a big horror movie guy, or like spooky
I
stuff?
am. My wife's even a bigger one. I have a really cool 5-second tidbit fact about movies.
Yeah.
Her first cousin, Drew Scheid, is in the most recent Halloween. He got killed by Michael Myers.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
He's the one who got the fence shoved through his face. He had like a really big role. He's really good.
He's the guy with the fence in his face.
Yeah, yeah. He was like one of the main characters, Drew Scheid. Yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, we're horror fans over here, especially my wife. She loves him.
So what are you? Are you more like the gory horror or like the psychological horror?
Psychological. Gory, I turn into a wuss. I just can't. Are you guys gory ones? Like realistic gore? Me neither.
No. I'm barely even a horror fan, but the horror I do watch is definitely psychological. Like just recently, I was talking about this in the last segment. There's this movie on Netflix called The Platform, and it's a psychological thriller. It's not a horror per se, as in like scary things going to jump out at night. But watching the movie, there's terror. There's terror there. There's terror, and there's a lot of conceptual ideology, like dogma, but also just societal norms, and then also the breaking of those norms. Like watching a person break is a terrifying thing.
Yeah, so that's not my thing. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, I understand. Again, we were talking about like the catharsis and escapism and all that stuff in the previous segment. But like, yeah, no, like movies like Hostel, or
No,
you know what I mean,
No.
like or Human Centipede.
No.
Like,
or anything past Saw 1 because I saw it and didn't know what to expect. No thanks.
wait, you're like, wait,
Man.
what is this? What's the guy from The Princess Bride doing in this?
I know. Is that Robin Hood Men in Tights about to saw his leg up? What's going on?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
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 So,
If you weren't ready, it definitely blew your mind. I'm glad that they're done with that. Well, they're not really.
No, they're
done.
not. There's never
They're
gonna be no. They're gonna keep on doing Saw movies.
Make it end. I'm not saying it's played out. I'm saying that I can only see so many. Would you like to play a game? How many games do you have?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Quit playing games with me.
Do either of you guys play Call of Duty? Warzone?
I watch my friends play.
So I started playing it with my friends, you know, online. It was a way to socialize, right? And they're doing a Halloween theme thing now called like The Haunting of Verdansk. But you can, there's
Is it zombies?
Well, they have a zombie mode, but you can buy like a jigsaw like costume and like a Leatherface one. So like there's like so many people running around like Jigsaw.
No.
And I'm like, I don't know.
In the game form, there's only so much you can get out of me on a horror game form. I can't even play Resident Evil. Like,
I played that once and pooped my pants. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
It's not great. I was like, oh wow, this is. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second, you're immersing me in this horror world? Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah, I actually like horror video games. I went on a big kick. There's one, if you can get it, for GameCube called Eternal Darkness Sanity's Requiem. That one's a good one. It's like it literally messed with you. Like if you saw a zombie or a monster, your sanity meter went down. When you killed it, it went back up, but it never went back up the same amount as it went back down. So like over time, you just get, and like the screen would start to like just tilt ever so slightly as you went. And it's like you'd find yourself like playing the game like this. You'd be like, whoa. It messed with you on the fourth it broke the fourth wall in a way that I've never. But it's like $90 on the GameCube.
Yeah, I'm
it's
looking at it now.
it's based on the same H.P. Lovecraft stuff that Lovecraft Country was based on. So yeah, that's a spooky one. But so do you have any do you have any movie recommendations or story recommendations or anything for the kids out there on Halloween?
Yeah. Well, it's not really a recommendation. Everyone's seen it, but man, I'd say one of my favorite horror movie experiences was when the Blair Witch came out.
Oh,
Wow. What a
That changed everything.
oh my God. Do you know the fan theory about the Blair Witch Project? That there's no supernatural thing at all. All it was those two guys tricked that woman and then went out and murdered her in the woods.
Maybe.
And there's like a whole bunch of like, look it up. There's like crazy amount, and like it made me a believer. It made me a believer that is the movie. That's not this like that these guys set this all up so that people would think it was supernatural when they really were just like leading this woman out, and because they're like psychopaths. And it's like, if you follow like who was holding the map and like you know, why is this one guy, like the sound guy was like, in the beginning he's like, I don't want to be here, let's just go back to the car. But then in the second day he's like leading them, even though he's the one that lost the map, and they all of a sudden find this house. It's like, dude, you got to watch the fan theory about Blair Witch Project being like a tag team. It takes it to a whole nother level, I'll be honest.
Holy moly. Well, you know what brings this story to a whole other level? I've never brought it up though, because I have so much respect for her. I know she hears it all the time. I've actually gotten to know Heather from the Blair Witch. The Heather, like her.
Yeah. The nose dripping and everything.
Guess what about that? I read this publicly, so I'm not revealing any information she didn't want to get out. It was a quote from her. Apparently that infamous scene with the crying and the snot was shot after they wrapped everything and they were about to go eat at Wendy's or Denny's. And she was like, hold on, I have one more idea. And she went and grabbed the camera and did that freaking scene. The most iconic scene.
Let me throw this in there real quick.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get some snot out of my nose. I'll be right there. Hold the car.
That just goes to show you like the greatest innovation, like some of the greatest moments of cinema or in music come from spontaneity. You know, you're just like, oh, let me put this in there real quick. And then that's the 15 minutes that makes the movie.
Yeah. Same with music. And Kyle, that theory still applies to that theory. Just blew my mind. That is still possible.
It is, dude. I used to, when I used to be a Lyft driver, I used to like, you know, put YouTube on and just listen to it. You know what I mean? And like put on these like film theory episodes. Like there's a show. I will promote it because I don't know them personally, but they make such high quality stuff. It's like film theory, game theory, and food theory. It's like the theorists group or whatever. I think they're the ones that did that exposed me to that, but it was a rabbit hole, man. Yeah, I love the Blair Witch Project.
I thought it was real. And she's actually from our hometown. I didn't even know that at first. And I thought it was real. My whole family did. We're like, this girl, they're dead. Those kids are dead.
It's over. Never go over there again.
Because remember, they made a documentary for the Discovery Channel. There was no internet yet.
No, there was the internet. It was early.
Yeah.
And they were the first movie to ever use internet advertising. They made a fake web page. Like if you weren't around in the late 90s to experience the Blair Witch Project, like it was what we now would call like a multimedia event, right? Like they had, because it wasn't just a movie. It was a movie and there was web pages and there was like what we would now call AR elements to it, right? But this is like what you call a telephone number. And like I just remember I was one of those kids that like was like, this might be real, man. Like this might actually be real. Like,
I mean, you had to wait for it to come back on TV, like the little news blurbs they were promoting. Like you couldn't just go online and watch it again. So you had more time to really convince yourself it was real. That is genius.
Dude, I heard when they screened it the first time, and I think when you watch it now, there's no credits. It just ends.
Yeah.
And then it's like black. And
Ooh.
normally you'd expect to see like the text that like, this footage was, and then their bodies. No, nothing. It's just over.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with Delaware County at all?
Yeah.
That's where I grew up, and I went to see the Blair Witch for the first time at the McDade Mall, which is a mini mall. It's really small, man. And it was so scary. But right when they were at like a peak point where they were really scared, the train went by and just like totally blew the moment. You just hear like the train outside the movie theater, like, everyone was just like cracking up, like, oh, this is the McDade Mall, baby.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah.
PA.
Yeah, yeah. I like the funny spooky. But yeah. Oh man, now got me thinking of all the ones that are really scary. Oh man.
It's kind of funny how throughout this whole conversation, Paranormal Activity wasn't brought up.
I've been thinking it, but I'm trying not to just talk too much because I won't shut up. Paranormal Activity was another brilliant one.
I never saw it actually.
Oh, that should be it on there if you're
Really?
going to
It's
start.
like-
Yeah,
Is it
those
like a
first
good
two.
movie, or is it just like jump scare movie? Like,
No, the first two are worth it. The third one was like the turn, like how how Fast and the Furious like is a whole series, but it really turned after Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Right, that it was, and now they're
You know I
they're
love me
like
some Tokyo
driving
Drift,
through
man.
buildings and high rise. Like, no, it's outlandish now. That's how it. Yeah, like they're going to the moon.
Yeah.
No,
Somehow.
like it's.
But you're right. Here's a fact. I just pulled it up. Paranormal Activity. The budget was $15,000.
Really?
Box office 193 million.
That's called a come up. A come up.
It's in that
That's called return over investment. Return over investment.
Yeah, you're not kidding. 15 grand. That's all it costs.
That's gotta be maybe more than that. That might be more gross than the Blair Witch.
It was. It was what topped it.
You know what else grossed a lot? Sharknado.
No, you don't. People be sleeping on Sharknado. Unlike Tokyo Drift, Sharknado, like a fine wine, gets better with age.
Every movie, every.
Oh man, when the chick.
Oh God, just give me more B-level actors. Just dump it on the movie.
One of them I just saw was like Sharknado 6. Tara Reid, the blonde woman, she stopped a helicopter in midair. She grabbed it. Oh my God. She like grabbed the helicopter and stopped it. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome.
This makes so much sense.
The effects are they look like they're made on an iPhone app, not even After Effects. I love that stuff. I love bad movies too.
I love bad movies. They're great.
So good.
Sharknado.
All right, guys. Well, look, we got to wrap this up because we went a little bit over time.
I thought so. Sorry for talking so much.
I'm glad that we ended it with laughs. Like, this is a funny year. Like, I'm glad that we're still able to laugh.
Sure. Yeah. No. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you for all the work you do. And yeah, I
It was
guess
great meeting you, Mike. Great talking to you, buddy.
Likewise, I'll make sure we connect online down the future. All of us. I hope we all collab again somehow. It'd be cool. Share it
No
now.
doubt. No doubt.
Before we go though, why don't you share with folks where they can find out, where they can follow you, find out more about you and your music.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Nappy Music, my last name, NAPPI Music, all social media, and nappymusic.com. Nice and easy.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike.
And that is my real last name. People are like, what's up with Nappy? I'm like, it's my last name, man. It's on my birth certificate. Because people are like, oh, what is that? I'm like, it's my last name. So solve that problem too.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Talk to you soon.
Peace.
All right. Well, I want to thank Mike Nappy again for joining us. And be sure to check out Vote. We're going to play it out here at the end there. We'll also put a link down in the description below. Ray, you excited for Halloween night? You got any fun plans?
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be the Revenge of Sumball. Probably followed by next year will be the Crusade of Sumball. Because right now, he can't leave. But next year, he'll be out. How about you? Any excitingness?
I made a cake and we're probably
Hey!
gonna dress up the little bear and have her, do Halloween pictures and stuff like that. Obviously, no trick or treating, but I got to do it last year, so it was fun. And then we'll probably watch a movie. Like I said, I'll probably watch Attack the Block, and have a low key Halloween. Oh wait, no, actually, what am I talking about? Tonight at 8 o'clock, we're gonna play Among Us. Me, Nydia Graves, a couple of our friends. It'll be on Twitch, so you can follow us. I'll put a link also. I'll share it as well. And if you want to join the conversation, maybe we'll even be able to let some of the people watching it join in the game. That'll be fun. So and then also, election is on Tuesday, and we tried to keep it light, but we do have to remind everybody, please vote. It is super important. If you're a millennial like Ray and I'd like to say that this is the most important election of our lives, not because of anyone on the ballot, but because this is the first time our age group is the largest voting bloc in America. So if we show up, we can make a huge impact. So just make sure you make a voting plan. If you still have a vote by mail ballot, make sure you drop it off at a box. And if you don't, vote on election day. It takes a few minutes. Just wear a mask, and that's it.
Right.
So you have fun. I know you're gonna be having dinner soon, so you enjoy.
Right, it's about that time. But yeah, everybody stay safe. Please get out and vote. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your friends. Do it for your children. Do it for water, air, earth, sky, whatever. Find an excuse. Get on out there and vote.
So that's it. Thank you all for tuning in. This show is made possible by electricity and brought to you by
light. So
that's it. Have fun. Have a safe Halloween. And until next week,
keep geek.
Whoa.
Victory's ours to elect. Vocalize oppression to effect. Voicing out truths empathetically. Volunteering our time energetically. Avoiding offensive tyrannical enemies. Vitalizing opposition to equity. Visualizing overthrowing the elected. Vaccinating order through epidemics. It all starts with community. Him and her, them and them, you and me. Unity. No party of mine is ever one-sided, but the line outside is so divided. It's my right to be a recluse in the booth. Let loose all my truths, forget who they said to choose, and think for my community. Him and her, them and them, you and me. Unity. Small businesses, kids, blue collar, mothers and fathers. The list gets longer, our fists get stronger. The more we take action, the more we conquer. Shh. Moment of silence, rest in peace, Your Honor. We can do this, we can make a change. Too many people fall too hard just to give this away. Like Willie said, if you don't like them, vote them out. It's up to us to keep it together and hold it down. Victory's ours to elect. Vocalize oppression to effect. Voicing out truths empathetically. Volunteering our time energetically. Avoiding offensive tyrannical enemies. Vitalizing opposition to equity. Visualizing overthrowing the elected. Vaccinating order through epidemics. Started from the bottom, make it fair. Localized economy, then we work our way up from there. Started from the bottom, laissez-faire. We vote so we are not alone, and it shows that we care. Know how I know we care? Cause being smart is cool, and being smart doesn't mean that it needs to start with school. It needs to start with you and to believe in what you do. Cause you are equal to anyone you can check in the booth. You can do it too, what you dream it can come true. Maybe one day I'll be in an undivided line voting for you. You owe it to you, devote what's closest to you. Devote devotion to devote, that's a notion to you. And we can do this, we can make a change. Too many people fall too hard just to give it away. Like Willie said, if you don't like them, vote them out. It's up to us to keep it together and hold it down. Victory's ours to elect. Vocalize oppression to effect. Voicing out truths empathetically. Volunteering our time energetically. Avoiding offensive tyrannical enemies. Vitalizing opposition to equity. Visualizing overthrowing the elected. Vaccinating order through epidemics. Victory's ours to elect. Vocalize oppression to effect. Voicing out truths empathetically. Volunteering our time energetically. Voiding offensive tyrannical enemies. Vitalizing opposition to equity. Visualizing overthrowing the elected. Vaccinating order through epidemics. Vote.